Today we're talking about NRL22 to the extreme. If you guys have been following the channel, you know that one of the things that I've been wanting to do for a while is get more into precision rifle shooting. So last summer I did just that. I shot my first precision rifle match, which you can check out the video up there, and I really became hooked. I really enjoy it. It's a new discipline of shooting for me, and I found it incredibly challenging and also incredibly rewarding. However, I also found precision rimfire is a real thing, and it is a lot of fun. So what happened this year is NRL22 is a phenomenal organization, and it is traditionally designed for clubs and ranges that have distance of 100 yards, which is pretty manageable. A lot of clubs and a lot of ranges can find a 100-yard range. However, NRL22 also announced the NRL22 Extreme, or NRL22X, and that is basically taking the fun of precision rifle, the fun of 22, and then kind of putting it on steroids, so you're not just limited to 100 yards, but that gives the match directors some freedom to increase distances, increase difficulty and challenges in stages, and introduce specialty equipment. My name is Dave Tim from Guns and Tactics. Thank you guys very much for spending a few minutes of your day with me talking about the match that I had the privilege of attending last month, and I had an absolute wonderful time. Learn more about us, you can go ahead and check us out online. Please like, share, and subscribe. The match that I had the pleasure of attending in June was the NRL22X North Central Regional Match, and it was put on at the Rush Lake Gun Club in New York Mills, Minnesota, which is a phenomenal facility that thankfully is not too far of a drive for me, so I was able to make a day trip. I have to give a shout out to Ruth and Justin. I thought the two of them put on an absolutely wonderful match. It was very well organized, good safety brief, good stages, fun stages, great people. Lunch was provided, an amazing prize table by coordinating with sponsors, and overall it just ran relatively smooth from the beginning all the way to final scores being posted, review period, and then the prize table. So I was really pleased overall with how smooth the match was, and I thought it was just a really fun time. It was a great way for me to spend a Saturday. We were shooting some good distances, and the stages I thought were really well thought out. Now, thankfully we had really good weather. We did have a little bit of wind, and I was shooting my trusty workhorse of a 22 precision rifle, the Voodoo V22, which if you're interested in learning more about the Voodoo, I do have a couple of videos on that, which will be up here in cards. I have a 5-minute review and a full version review, but in case you missed it, the Voodoo is one heck of a shooting rifle. Now, what I used to support my shooting was the Strelok Pro Ballistics app, and what I really liked about this is that once I had the information from my rifle, so I had the zeroing information, I had the velocity, I had point of aim, point of impact, and I put that into the app, and then I was able to calculate all of my ballistic hold information that I needed. I really like the Strelok Pro app. Number one, it manages all my rifles, all my different optics, all my different loads, all my different cartridges. I can see the reticle view. I mean, it's my favorite ballistic app. I have been using this app in the courses that I teach, where I have students use it. I've been using it at matches. It's just an awesome app. But what I really like about it is I have the target list function, so I can pre-program all of the stages into the target list function, and then I know, okay, when I get to stage 3, I'm gonna have holds at 1.3 mils, 0.4, whatever it might be, and then I can just simply move on. The distances we were shooting at ranged from 50 yards out to 500 yards, which was the longest target, I believe. But again, I had all of that data in the app, and I could just simply put it in there, and either if it was a single distance or a couple of distances, I could dial, or I could just simply send that card right to my watch, and then I could just quickly access my watch. Now in the future, I think having the data on either the quarterback card or a card on the rifle like I've used previously would be the way to go. I tried the watch because I wanted to see if I could incorporate technology, and quite frankly, I just preferred using, I would prefer to have it on my arm or on the rifle. I'm going to pick up a data card holder. Now, the stages themselves, I thought the stages were very well thought out and very challenging. Now, before I get into all the stages, I do want to highlight a few. Number one, anytime you get to shoot distance with the 22, you're having a good time. So shooting out to distance, you have to read the wind, you have to have all your fundamentals really locked down, because a little bit of wobble or a little bit of miss induced, at a close distance is going to obviously magnify at a far distance. But they use the props very well. There was a lot of prone shooting. There was some supported shooting off props, so you're using a bag. But then you also had one stage, which was a paper stage, where it was just prone. You got solid, you used your bipod and a rear bag, and it was on paper for score. And I'm going to sound a little bit biased, but that was one of my favorite stages because yours truly happened to get a stage win out of all the shooters, not just in the open class, but I was able to get a first place stage finish on that stage. So I was super excited about that. Again, I have to give credit to the rifle. The rifle's obviously a shooter. I was using Lapua Center X ammo, which I had dialed in, and I just happened to have a really great stage and things came together. Now the other stages were fun because with the kind of freedom that the match directors can use, there was also some stage equipment. So on one of the stages, we shot a theqa T1X with a Bushnell Match Pro scope. And that was my first time checking out that scope, but I really liked the scope. I liked the reticle. It seemed to be pretty clear glass. We didn't have to do any dialing or anything like that, but for a $500 scope, it sure seemed really nice, and then the theqa shot very well. So I could definitely see myself picking up a theqa and a Match Pro to kind of build a base class rifle in the future. Other stage gun was a Rimex action with a Vortex scope. That stage was sponsored by Vortex, and it really kind of set up the stage to use their reticle. I did miss a few times, so I did not win that stage, but it was a fun stage nonetheless. Now, some of the other stages that I really enjoyed, again, just using different obstacles and barricades throughout the match is, in my opinion, just a good time because it really tests your ability to kind of get solid and get, you know, into a good position. However, my absolute favorite stage was the moving target stage. They had a system that had two targets that were moving back and forth. The top target was a little bit larger, the bottom target a little bit smaller, and you could take your pick on which target you wanted to shoot at, but it was moving back and forth at about 4 mils a second was what we calculated. The kicker was you had to shoot 10 rounds right shoulder, then do a mag change and shoot 10 rounds left shoulder. It was a challenge, and I had some really good hits right shoulder, but then once I switched to left shoulder and kind of refiguring out, okay, how do I want to see the target? How can I get comfortable? It took me a few rounds to start getting some hits, but I think overall I had 13 or 14 hits out of 20, which I thought was respectable. But it was just a lot of fun. And once you got in your groove, just, you know, seeing you get those impacts on that moving target was a lot of fun. And that by far was my favorite stage. Now guys, if you're interested in shooting NRL22, Precision Rifle 22, go to NRL22 webpage. I'll put links in the description and on the screen, and you can hopefully find a club near you. If not, maybe you start a club. You can become a member. Your club can become a member, and therefore your scores are submitted. And then you're competing against people all over, not just in your local club. And you can kind of, you know, use these standardized courses every month to kind of see where you stack up against shooters from all over. Additionally, it gives you practice. Match directors are also given a little bit of freedom if they want to do some fun stages after those prescribed stages, and you can just get together with your buddies and you can have a good time. So even if you don't have a formal thing, but if you have access regularly to a 100-yard shooting facility, maybe you start your own club. But it's a great way for youth to get involved. It's a great way for new shooters to get involved because relatively speaking, 22 is a common gun and 22 ammo is readily available, knock on wood, right now. Obviously, if you want to do better and have a higher performance firearm, whatever, yeah, you can spend as much as you want on your scope, your rifle, and ammunition to get that higher level of performance. But if you're new and all you have is a 10-22 and it shoots relatively well, rock on, man. We all have to start somewhere, and it's okay to start there, or show up and you'll probably run into a guy like me who's like, hey, give my rifle a try, go ahead and shoot it. So that was my experience of the NRL22X North Central Regional match. Again, I thought it was a great time. Ruth and Justin did a phenomenal time coordinating the event, planning the stages, and then putting on one heck of a prize table. And speaking of prizes, the prizes they had were absolutely awesome. A couple people walked away with some Match Pro scopes, steel targets, tons of gift certificates, and I happened to win 5,000 rounds of gold medal federal rimfire ammunition. So I'm going to be practicing with that for a while, and hopefully my rifle likes it where I can shoot some matches as well. But I have 5,000 rounds to burn through, so challenge accepted. If you found this video entertaining and helpful, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Check us out online. And if you have any questions about NRL22, precision rimfire, precision rifle, or just firearms in general, don't be afraid to send a question to the email address shown below, which is theqa@gunsandtactics.com, and submit your question for our monthly QA episode, where at the end of the month we answer your questions. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great day. We work really hard to make content that we hope you as a shooter would enjoy. Subscribe to our channel, check out our featured videos and playlists, and if you have a question firearms related, go ahead and send an email to the address shown on the screen to be entered into our monthly QA series.